My name is Michal Temkin Martinez, and I am a professor and chair of the Department of Linguistics. This is my 14th year here at Boise State, and I am currently on my sabbatical. So the NCFDD, or the National Center for Faculty Development and Diversity, is an organization that runs a ton of faculty development workshops. A lot of them are virtual, but they also have some in person. One of their flagship programs is the Faculty Success Program, which used to be called the Faculty Boot Camp. And the FSP, or Faculty Success Program, is a 12-week program for faculty across the U.S. of all different ranks to sign up for basically an accountability system that allows you to set aside time for your research and your writing, and it's a built program that builds in all sorts of supportive networks to make sure that you do it. One of those networks is a small group that you meet with weekly for those 12 weeks. Another one is a coach that leads the small group meetings that happen weekly. There's also one-on-one mentoring that can happen during that time, and you can sign up with a variety of mentors. And then the coolest thing about the program, which I thought would be the biggest drag, is the weekly homework that we get. And those are basically building, a foundation for the faculty participating on how to figure out how to do research in a structured way that allows for higher levels of success. And so so it's a 12-week program that helps you sort of figure out what your plan is and how to implement it, and provides the support networks for that. So I was initially really reticent about doing this program. Maybe reticent isn't the right word. Maybe was like sort of poo-pooing, right? I've heard about this program for several years, and I knew that there are that the provost office has like a support grant for a part of the cost. The cost is really high, right? It's an expensive program to be part of. And I knew that part of it was covered by the provost office. And there were several reasons that I thought it wouldn't be a good program for me. One, I've never liked writing ever, like not in grad school, not at the beginning of my tenure track career. I've never liked it. And I thought, well, I'm full professor now. I don't even need it anymore, right? Like I can just kind of pass by with just doing some work. I have 2 NSF grants and I can complete those grants and I can write the reports for those, but I don't have to write anything about it. And also it's expensive. So where am I going to find the money for this? And, my professional development funds from our department usually been really, really low. So like, where would I even find the right amount of money for this? And besides, I don't like writing. Why would I pay a lot of money to be in a program for 12 weeks to learn that I don't like how to write, right? And the program is intensive. And so every year when I've thought about maybe doing it, which again, I was mostly like, no, it's not for me. I thought, well, how would I do this, right? We've had a lot of really important work that we've had to do in our teaching and in our administration in our department. And so like, when would I even put aside the time to do this program? Because this program does require you to put the time in to get a good result, right? And so as I was preparing for my sabbatical, I kind of thought about maybe doing it. And then the closer I got to the second part of my sabbatical, I'm doing the full year, I realized, this is the time. The beginning of my sabbatical was very productive. I completed the things that I promised the university I would do. And I also enjoyed writing for the first time in a very long time. And so I thought, maybe I should try this so I can figure out how to do this well, right? And so I signed up for this second semester of my sabbatical, and it's been amazing. It's been really, really great. And So I highly recommend it for people who are on sabbatical or going on sabbatical, because I do think that it's a really wonderful way to keep a structured, systematic sort of, track of your writing, and to also get support. The small groups that you're assigned to are, there's a very long intake process for the program, and or not process, but survey. And they take into consideration where you are in your career, where you want to go, what your goals are for your writing. And they put you in a group with people who are similar to you. And that part has been just so wonderful. I love my group, and I think most of us are probably going to stay in a group together after the program is done. And that's another thing, is that the program doesn't end at the end of the 12 weeks. Like many of the programs through the NCFDD, you have the option to sort of continue after. So in the faculty success program, you're considered an alumnus or alumna of the program, and you can continue and you can keep on doing the 12-week programs over and over and over. There's one for summer, there's one for every semester, and it's just a really wonderful way to get into the habit of thinking about your research and actually doing your research. Yeah, so the very first aha moment I had was in the very first week in the homework video. So we start the week by watching a homework video, and some of them are short, some of them are a little longer. But in the longer video that week, they said, we put you in a group with people. Trust us about the people that we put you in the group with. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But I wrote it down in my notes, like, trust them. The group is for a reason, And my weekly meetings are on Wednesdays, and so I went to my first meeting that Wednesday, and it was almost immediately hit me in the face as to why I was in the group with the people that I was in the group with. I had mentioned that I really wanted to focus on getting into a writing habit and carving out the time for my research, even if it's just a half hour a day before I take on the role of chair when I come back from sabbatical. That was really important to me. That's been really weighing heavily on me this year. How will I make sure that I balance things out, and that I continue to do this work that is important in my field and that I actually enjoy doing. And so I mentioned that in my intake form. And in my group, we have, there's 4 other people, and several of them have just recently stepped down from being in an administrative position and are trying to get back into it. And all of them in the first week, when I mentioned my sort of worry about next year, all of them, came up with wonderful, helpful, hints and comments and supportive, it's just been such a supportive environment. So that group really has been wonderful. And every time I sit down to write, I look to see who else from my group is online, and I see if they want to join me for an accountability, session for a half hour. And by design, we don't actually meet over Zoom. The weekly meetings are actually done by voice only. And the platform is by email only, or by chat in the platform. So, we've interacted on the platform, and we interact in our weekly meetings, but we really are using the platform as a way of communicating with one another, so that we're not overstepping, and that we're not like making anybody feel guilty about not doing enough writing or whatnot. And there is one more person in my group who's on sabbatical, and the two of us have had a really good time sort of bantering and supporting one another in our writing, because we have longer periods of time that we can dedicate to our writing than the others who are not on sabbatical. I think if anybody's considering doing this, they should definitely apply for the grant from the provost office. It's a large grant in comparison with how much it costs, and talk to people who have done the program on our campus, right? So after this semester, I think there'll be 6 or 7 people on our campus who have done it, all different ranks, all different colleges. And so talk to somebody who's done it and ask them questions and voice your concerns and see if it's the right fit. But if you're considering doing it, it's probably the right fit. So I'd say just pull the trigger and do it, because it's really worth it. Oh yeah, there's definitely one more. So at the beginning of the program, they have you work on a strategic plan. And that plan is limited in scope. It's not really like your strategic plan for the rest of your career. It's a 12-week plan, right? It's for the program. So it's meant for you to really figure out, like, how do I pace myself? What are my goals? How do I get to my goals? And how do I set, realistic different times to check in and just to make sure that I'm meeting my goals? And they make you partner with a mentor on your campus. And so they tell you, like, you now need to go and look for a mentor on your campus, somebody who could, be a peer on your campus who can help you have conversations about your interests and about your research, and possibly be a sponsor for you. And the way that they use the word sponsor is somebody who is going to be in other rooms than you are normally, like, so maybe in some meetings, in some situations where you might not be there, but that your voice could be of benefit to. And so they can bring you up and say, hey, you should really talk to Michal about this, right? And so they have you choose a mentor, and then you have to meet with your mentor and you have to discuss your strategic plan. And at first it seems so weird and sort of petty, like, oh, I want to accomplish this by the end of the 12 weeks. But that meeting for me was super fruitful. I chose as my mentor, I hope he doesn't mind that I say this, I chose Dan Sanford from the CTL. And that meeting just felt so amazing to be able to talk to somebody at our institution about my research. I'm in a department where every single one of us does different research, right? So it wasn't really talking about my actual research per se, but it was about, like, the concept of research, and the concept of what I want to get done, and how I feel like my scholarship can help my field and also help our campus. And so it was a really wonderful way to force me to have a conversation with somebody on campus about this. And the thing with that strategic plan is that you're supposed to actually take a look at it every week. At the beginning of the week, when you're planning out your week, you're supposed to take a look at your strategic plan and say, hey, how did I do last week? Did I accomplish the things that I said I would? And am I on the right track for this week? Is my week too busy to accomplish the things that I said I would do in my strategic plan? Do I need to make any accommodations for it? Do I have extra time? Can I pile a little bit on? And that's been just really, really amazing. And one part that I forgot to mention is that this program is not just about your scholarship and your research and writing. It's also about work-life balance, or your life outside of your work, as I like to call it, because balance seems a little unachievable at times. And so in your strategic plan, you also have to put in, what are ways that you're going to reward yourself? What are things that you're going to do to find joy outside of work? What are things that you're going to do to take care of yourself? And yeah, those have been a little harder to to actually achieve, but really great to think about, and to constantly be thinking, okay, I need to do more of this. I need to move the needle a little more on my personal goals as well.